interested persons are those persons interested in the case but not identified as either party petition or witnessed by any party. Aside from the applicant and city staff, are there any persons who wish to be identified as a party to these items?
Yes.
Those folks who have identified now, please state your name, address, item, your immediate area, your direct interest in the outcome of the meeting.
Hello, this is Mark Robinson. Can you hear me? Hello?
I need Mr. Robinson.
This is Mr. Robinson, Mark Robinson, and my address is 2844 East Main Street in Farmington, New Mexico. And I am the owner's representative, the church's representative, and I believe Pastor Stovall, Cody Stovall, is online too.
Yeah, I'm also here. This is Cody Stovall. And my address is 6 Road 25531, Aztec, New Mexico.
So, Mr. Stovall, you're considered the applicant, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have Mr. Robinson. Are there any other parties for others that are not city staff or the applicant that wish to be heard on tonight, recognized, so we can get you on the record?
My name is Jan Feller. I'm here representing my parents, Brian and Susan Carter. Their address is 601 Bruins Road. It's in reference to the Villa Serena Mobile Home Park.
Okay. Some other callers up here. I just want to make sure I get everybody because you have to be sworn in if you're going to have any input, and we have to get you identified for the record. Otherwise, you will not be allowed to to have any input once we get started with each individual land use hearing.
So Eric Edgerton's here with Villa Serena and Cottonwood Mobile Home Parks for the PUD.
Yes, sir.
And I live at 193 County Road 2900 in Aztec.
Okay, Mr. Edgerton is the applicant for that item as well.
Applicant as well for Villa and Cottonwood, yes.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so getting ready to move on. So we have Mr. Robinson, Ms. Fowler, Mr. Stovall, Mr. Edgerton. The only folks that have identified themselves as prepared to be sworn in and give any kind of testimony to any of these land use hearings tonight. All right, going once. All right, moving on. Okay. Mayor to the commission, please review the land use hearing registration form provided. Accept these folks as parties. Please signify by saying yes or no. You guys hear me okay?
You're cutting out real bad in here.
Sorry. I need the commission to recognize by giving an affirmative or a negative that these folks that have identified themselves as parties tonight.
Yes.
Commissioner Randall nodding his head in affirmation. I do as well.
I do too. I do.
Okay, thank you. Let it show that everybody is recognized now. The commission agrees the mayor will add that person, which we are good, along with any witnesses identified by the parties and or interested persons wishing to testify as indicated on the land use hearing registration form. Please, if you can't hear me, please stop me and I'll try and direct a little more towards my mic and my computer. My apologies. Got this thing on another screen. Okay, we are now moving into the land use part of the meeting. Land use hearing. Is there a challenge to the jurisdiction of the City of Aztec Commissioners to hear any of the hearings on tonight's agenda? Hearing none. Move on to the next. Are there any conflicts of interest, personal biases to be declared by a commission member? I have none.
I have
No.
none.
There are no biases or conflicts being stated. Third, have there been any ex parte contacts regarding the upcoming matters that a commission member needs to declare? I have none.
No.
No.
Okay, let's show that there are none. Okay. Now, here's the part where we're going to swear in. Will the staff, applicants, so Mr. Stovall, Mr. Edgerton, of course, and the other two parties, Mr. Robinson, Ms. Fowler, raise your right hand, and if you're not on camera, then I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, and we're going to swear you in. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth under penalty of perjury? Please state that you do or you do not. Mr. Edgerton.
I do.
Ms. Fowler.
I do.
Robinson.
I do.
Mr. Stovall.
I do.
Mr. Saavedra.
I do.
And commissioners, I do.
I do.
I do.
I do. Okay. Testimony and evidence must be directed toward federal and state municipal laws or regulations, criteria which the person testifying believes to apply to the decision, failure to raise an issue with sufficient specificity to afford us, other interested persons, an opportunity to respond to the issue, includes appeal on that issue. Any party as identified by the commission may request a continuance of this hearing, if able to provide documentation or evidence or opposition of the application, in addition to what was available at the time that notice of this hearing was provided. Conduct of land use hearings, unless there is a continuance, if a participant so requests before the conclusion of the initial evidentiary hearing, records shall remain open for at least 7 days after the hearing. And I will summarize the order of presentations. Staff will summarize the staff report to the extent necessary to enable those present to understand the issues before the commissioners. Commission members may ask questions of staff and cross-examination by applicant and parties to the member of staff. Second, the applicants, to include their witnesses, have up to 15 minutes. Commission members may ask questions of the applicant, cross-examination by staff and parties. Witnesses may be cross-examined but do not have the authority to cross-examine. Third is parties to include their witnesses have up to 10 minutes each. Commission members may ask questions of the parties, cross-examination by staff and they can cross-examine but do not have the authority to cross-examine. And interested persons have up to 5 minutes each. Commission members may ask questions of the interested persons, cross-examination by staff, applicant, and parties. Interested persons may be cross-examined but do not have the authority to cross-examine. The hearing will then be closed to all testimony, and the commission may discuss the issue amongst themselves in this meeting. The commission will then make a decision and issue findings of fact and conclusions of law. Move into closed session pursuant to New Mexico Statute 10.15.1H-1, the Open Meetings Act exception, or continue the public hearing until a specified time, or take the matter under advisement and announce a recommendation at a specified time. With that said, we are ready to move into item A, approval of a conditional use permit to allow a church in an R1 zoning district. Mr. Saavedra.
Mr. Mayor, City Commission, we will try to summarize this efficiently as possible. So, conditional use permit 20-03 or 2020-03 request from Two-Land Church, represented by Cody Stovall, and represented by Mark Robinson for a CUP in the R1 single family zoning district. Can everybody hear me okay and see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the subject property right here, located at 311 Ruins. It's located in the, can everybody see this okay? In the R1 zoning district. R1 zoning district is a zoning district, single family residential, however, with an approved conditional use permit, a church can be allowed if it's reviewed by the community development department and approved by the city commission. So that's essentially why we're here today. The applicant is moving forward with remodel and expansion of the structure. Upon review, we noticed that there wasn't a CUP on file, even though there has been a church there for over 20 years. There's been 3 different churches, at least to the best of my knowledge. And this is just conforming to what is required for city code as they move forward with the expansion and obtaining all their permits from the city and the county. I'm sorry, I had some difficulties. This is the structure. This is their rendering, or this is actually the site plan of what they propose. They're expanding the seating, we'll be adding landscaping, and right now it shows that they have at least 71 parking spaces on the subject property. And with that, we are recommending approval. We just want to make sure that the church recognizes that parking primarily stays off public right-of-way. Ruins Road can be traveled at relatively high rates of speed, and we just want to make sure that everybody is safe as possible. With that, I will stand for questions.
Questions for Mr. Shabaker from either the commission? Then if not, then we'll move on to any applicants and parties that the opportunity to ask questions. Seeing none, I'm not seeing anybody on mute. Is there anybody, Mr. Stovall or Mr. Robinson, that would like to ask Mr. Shabaker any questions on this item? Not seeing anybody on mute, so I will allow Mr. Stovall as the applicant to give his up to 15 minutes of testimony. Mr. Stovall, the floor is yours, sir.
Mayor and Commissioners, just want to say thank you for allowing us some time to speak tonight and considering this for us. Obviously, the church has been in this location for quite some time. It's probably been, I think last time I looked it up, it was close to the 1960s is when the structure was actually built there. But yeah, so we're just hoping for your consideration and allowing the church to remain where it's at.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody have any questions of Mr. Stovall? Staff or commission? I guess we'll, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Robinson or Robinson, I apologize if I messed that up. Sir, I'll give you the opportunity, because you're the only other party that has been identified in this particular land use item. So if you would like to add any testimony, if not, that's fine as well.
Well, just again, I'd reiterate Cody's thank you to you guys for taking the time to look at this, and I hope you have gotten to see the rendering as well of what the building's going to look like. But thanks again.
Thank you, sir. Staff or commission have any questions of Mr. Robinson? Seeing none, I would close this land use item to testimony and open it up to discussion amongst commission. Does anybody have any items they would like to discuss regarding land use item A? I have none. Seeing and hearing none, I would entertain a motion for land use item A. I'm sorry, I will close the discussion and open up to entertain a motion for item A.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the.
Mayor, I move
Go ahead.
20-0 land church or conditional use permit to allow a church in the R1 district at 311 Ruins Road, following condition, church parking for a church to be located on the right of way, specifically Ruins Road or Citron Avenue.
I'll second.
I second it.
Okay, Carla, you sort that out. We have a motion and a second. Carla, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Snover,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fry,
Aye.
Commissioner Padilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Lewis, Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Billbaum, Mr. Robinson. Item B, zone change 2020-02, amending the planned unit development for the Villas Arena Mobile Home Park located at 510 Bruins Road. Mr. Svedra? You would, sir.
I apologize. Let me start over. Technical difficulties, user error, my fault. All right. So let me start again. Zone change 2020-02 is a request to amend the plan unit development for the Villas Arena Mobile Home Park located at 500-01 to 516 through 74 Ruins Road. First and foremost, let me start off that this is an amendment to a zone change. The PUD zoning currently exists based on our zoning map. However, what goes within a zone PUD is a little bit different than other zoning districts, and I will try to summarize this as quickly as possible. Basically, what happens is the developer proposes a request to the city commission. It is a special zoning districts that don't always meet other type of zoning districts. For example, single family has setbacks of 25 or 30 feet and 15 feet. It has a 7,000 foot square lot requirement. The PUD basically has to come before the commission and get these setbacks and density requirements approved by the commission. Unfortunately, and no fault to Mr. Edgerton, there is no record of the original PUD establishing this zoning district. So what this does, or this amendment to the PUD, is establish it and puts forward specific setbacks per Mr. Edgerton's request. Again, this is a request because a possible potential buyer is wanting to know if a mobile home leaves the park, where can they put another mobile home in? And without specific knowledge, it is very difficult for the buyer or the seller to convey what can and cannot happen. Subsequently, the city, which normally would have such document on file, would say, hey, you just got to make sure that the mobile home is placed in this spot with this setback. And here's the requirements. These are the requirements. There's no area requirement for the PUD district. That is something that's established by the developer and approved by the commissioner. And again, this is the only setback regulation for the PUD district within city code. As you can see, there's really no 5 foot, 10 foot, 50 foot. All it basically states is don't encroach on the right of way line. That's it. So what the request is to establish that so that the city, Mr. Edgerton, and anybody who ends up buying this property has some peace of mind and knows what they can and cannot do with this zoning district. So this is what we do right now. This was a survey obtained by or submitted by Mr. Edgerton to city staff. And this is what currently exists today. So nothing is being proposed as a change. All it is establishing what is right now so that there's some peace of mind going forward. This is an overlay that was submitted by Mr. Edgerton outlining the specific stalls for the mobile home units. This is what it looks like currently. Some of the only areas that do have actually speed bumps within the city of Aztec. I just wanted to point that out. So, requested setbacks, as Mr. Edgerton has proposed to city staff and is up forward, and this is based on what exists today. You have a north proposal of 5 feet, south 5 feet, east 10, west 18 feet. Density is allowing up to 71 units. Again, we want to make sure we know there's some understanding of how many mobile homes could occur in this park, so you don't have too many stacked upon one another. And you definitely want to make sure that it meets fire code and building codes and things of that nature. Truth be told, just to moving in mobile homes has been difficult for years from the city of Aztec and other cities. It's very easy to move a mobile home, and a lot of times there's not oversight. So hopefully this is established what can It cannot happen. And of course, parking will occur on-site, not on Ruins Road or any other property for that matter. So with that, city staff is recommending approval with the listed setbacks so that Mr. Edgerton can amend the PUD and establish what can and cannot happen going forward with respect to setbacks and density. And I will stand for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Saavedra. Does anybody have any commissioners have any questions of Mr. Saavedra currently on this item? Mr. Edgerton, do you have any questions of Mr. Saavedra?
No, I do not. He explained it very well, so I'm good with his explanation.
Okay. Okay, thank you, sir. So we're basically just kind of cleaning this up. Is that a fair assessment?
That's correct, yes, sir.
Doing it on paper, where we have something, some sort of standard established. Okay. Questions? Then I will move to the applicant to be able to give his testimony. Mr. Edgerton, you have up to 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you again, Commission and Mr. Mayor, for hearing me this evening. Yes, the whole thing with Villa Park, again, nothing will be changed with the location of the trailers. We just wanted to be able to be on the same page with the city or the state inspector. When we moved one out, we wanted to place it in the correct location so we don't have to move it at a later point. So when it was brought to my attention that the city had zoned Villa PUD, but we had no documentation on it, that we wanted to make sure we got that PUD established. So basically, we're just asking tonight to get the density and the setbacks per the survey approved, so that, as Stephen said, if we hold on to it, if we move the trailer out back in, we can put it in the proper location. If a buyer wants to take over the park, the city knows what he expects, and again, not changing any of the locations or setbacks as they exist. But so we're just asking for approval, and we appreciate you hearing us this evening. That's all.
Thank you, sir. City staff, any questions of Mr. Edgerton? Seeing none. Commission, any questions of Mr. Edgerton? Okay. I will move to, I apologize, Ms. Fowler? She's the only other person.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. No, I'm giving you your opportunity to speak, because you're the only other person on this particular item that is sworn in. Is there anything you would like to add, or take a couple of minutes?
Okay, the only thing that I was mostly concerned about was for the business. They have the Monument Trading Post that's right there on the end of Ruins Road. And we just wanted to make sure that there wasn't anything that was going to conflict with their property line or with parking or any zoning changes or anything like that.
Mr. Saavedra, I'll let you kind of just tie that one up, please.
Yes, thank you for the question then. No, there should be no issues related to parking. Parking should occur on the mobile home park. No property lines are being adjusted per this request, and the zoning is just amending the current PUD. And your particular property, there's no change in zoning whatsoever related to your parcel of property.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Fowler. Does anybody from staff or commission or Mr. Edgerton have any questions of Ms. Fowler? Seeing and hearing none, I'm going to close this item B to testimony and open it up to discussion amongst the commission. So we are now open for discussion. Does anybody have any discussion or issues or things they need to clear up or anything they want to discuss amongst us? A motion? None, I will close discussion for item B and entertain a motion for item B, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Sure.
I move to approve zoning change 2020-02 and amend the planned unit development zoning for the Villa Serena Mobile Home Park located at 500-01 to 516-74 Ruins Road, Aztec, New Mexico, 87410.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Carla, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Snover,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fry,
Aye.
Commissioner Padilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Randall,
Aye.
Commissioner Lewis.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you again. Moving to item C, zone change 2020-03, amending the planned unit development B for the mobile home park located at 304 Robinson Avenue. Again, Mr. Saavedra, thank you.
Right, Mr. Mayor, City Commission, just before I get started, I know this is gonna be a little difficult and a little bit more unprecedented because one of the issues related to property is directly related to the setbacks. So I know we haven't got that issue resolved yet. I can continue with the presentation so everybody can have an understanding of what's taking place. And if City Commission feels that it's best to table this item until the other issue is resolved, that's at City Commission's discretion. So with that, I can proceed accordingly unless told otherwise.
I don't want to speak for all the commissioners, but I'm fine either way, but my only concern is that we're going to ask you to do it again, because if we, when we revisit the other issue, that we will, undoubtedly have some recollection issues or maybe some nuance issues that we might have lost between this meeting and whenever the other item is visited again. But I'm comfortable either way, and I would ask if anybody else has anything to weigh in on. In your estimation, Mr. Saavedra, it's kind of my assuming that it's basically kind of a moot point to go forward with this until we get the other item, business item that we visited, kind of settled. Is that? That's what it seems like.
And Mr. Mayor, and I can present it, and there could be, and this is very similar to the last land use item for establishing setbacks and things of that nature. I will proceed accordingly. Again, the situation remains what is the property line, and so just that's. But I can proceed accordingly, and if you feel that there's just not enough information, or it's just the cart is in front of the horse, there's always the option to table it. But I can proceed accordingly just so that you can have information. I just want to make sure, because this is a zoning item, just remember, related to ex parte communication, just remember that as much as possible as we proceed forward. So with that, I'll go ahead and get started. Zone change 20-03 is a request by Mr. Edgerton to amend the PUD zoning district. Again, this is the same exact situation where it currently is zone PUD. However, that finding of fact document outlining specific setbacks and densities, parking, and so forth is not on file for the city of Aztec. And this, again, is not the fault of Mr. Edgerton. For whatever reason, the city of Aztec does not have any finding of fact documents from 2005 to prior years. So this is to try to clean up this zoning so the property owner or whoever it may be, city staff, knows what can and cannot happen with respect to setbacks and density. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Again, Cottonwood Mobile Home Park, I know we discussed this prior, but this is just solely on the zoning, not related to the right-of-way, though it is somewhat related. The location, there is many addresses associated with this property outlined on the staff report, And the current acreage is 7.94 acres, and of course, Mr. Anderson is requesting the amendment of this PUD zoning district. Again, this is what's per city code. There is no setbacks per se. That's why it gets established by city commission or approved by city commission on the request of the developer. So this has been in existence since the mobile home park. This code has been in existence since 2004, even though it was amended in 2007. This is the location, subject property, and Mr. Edgerton had requested to establish and amend the PUD that there be a 5-foot setback from the north, a 31-foot setback from the south, a 5-foot on the east, and a 31-foot setback on the west side of the property. Density is allowing up to 74 units, and of course, the parking needs to be on the Cottonwood Mobile Home Park, not on city right-of-way or on any other private property owner. And with that, I will stand for questions.
All right. Commissioner Randall.
Yes, Stephen, thank you, Mayor. So just like on the picture that you have on your slide right now, that would be looking up the east side. We're looking north up the east side, correct?
That's correct, yes.
So technically the 5 feet would be from the fence. So just like that mobile home right there is clearly not 5 foot from the fence. That one would be in violation, correct?
Correct. So how it goes is 5 feet from the property line, but because as we know, the property line is further east into Newman. So right now the request would be 5 feet from that. So technically, I mean, City Commission can establish that, and if the right-of-way situation is rectified, the property owner knows that the individual just needs to be 5 feet from the property line, regardless of who the property is. Wherever that property line is established, 5 feet from there.
And that would be on, so as it is now, I'm just trying to understand this. So as it is now, it's which property line though? Like,
so property
fence
line,
or our property line, which is even another 10, 15 foot inside of that.
right, so property line would be right now, property line is a little bit over here right now.
Right.
So it would be,
I put in,
any further, but it would be going further west. I think so.
that's how I see it too, so I'm confused on how we can move forward on it tonight. Otherwise, if we approve it tonight with everything there, is it like grandfathered in? I mean, I don't understand. Are we gonna require everyone to move their trailers tomorrow?
Yeah,
I know
I
we
mean,
wouldn't do that.
great question. I mean, it's hard to rectify the situation, and no, we wouldn't go out there and knock on the door and tell them, hey, you gotta move it 15 feet.
Right.
So, you know, and I understand that the matter is to try to get all of this property cleaned up, rectified, so there's no issues. Even if, let's say, the exchange of property happens, there's still going to be some issues related to the lines and setbacks, so it doesn't clean up everything. In all honesty, there's a lot of components that go into it, clean it up, but this is a first attempt, a stab at it.
I just have a hard time with even moving forward because it's like it doesn't even matter. Why even put numbers on there? Not even.
Because if we did, let's say we approved it, right, and said, okay, these setbacks as given, and then for whatever reason, hypothetically, we don't sell that piece of property. So then the property line will be what it kind of technically is currently. And then you throw in the approved encroachment. I feel like I have to someone clear this up for me if I'm not articulating this or maybe I'm not seeing this clearly. I kind of feel like that's what Commissioner Randall is also saying, that how can we establish setbacks on what's really kind of a moving goalpost at the moment until we get that other piece kind of settled.
And Mr. Mayor, Mr. Randall, I mean, those are very valid points because what it's a little uncomfortable to approve something that you're knowing that it's now going to be out of compliance. So if you approve the setback, even, and then the structure is now in the setback area, to approve something that's not in compliance with city code. So it's a little uncomfortable going forward with the situation being what it is right now, without the established property line.
It just seems contradictory. Point. Thanks, David.
I think that kind of gets us back to where we started on item C. It said maybe we should visit this one, but I don't know. But any further input on this? We have a presentation, but I don't know, Mayor Pro Tem, are you unmuted to say something or not unmuted?
I'm just in agreement that I think it should be tabled so that we have both of the issues taken care of at the same time.
Because, and what I fear is that I think a lot of these things that we're visiting and kind of cleaning up, I don't think any commission in the past specifically intended to let some of this stuff kind of, get kicked down the road or to get kind of not intended to, and things just happen and moved on, and then it gets kind of pushed away, and other items come that are of higher importance. Before you know it, here we are. Or Austin's kids are commissioners 20 years from now, and they're having to deal with this stuff. And I think that maybe we should be a little bit more deliberate as we move forward on this kind of stuff. That's my take on it, but I'm open to moving forward if the rest of the commission thinks we should. But Commissioner, okay, I saw Commissioner Lewis. Did you unmute to speak? And then Commissioner Padilla, you have your hand up, so go ahead in that order, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm in concurrence with you all. I think we're putting the cart before the horse, so to speak. Until we get the other issues settled, it seems like we're spinning our wheels looking at this particular issue. And I don't think it's prudent for us to make a decision on this, and then without having the other thing in place already.
I think most of us are in agreement. Commissioner Padilla, sir.
In looking at the setbacks, even if we sold that property and seeing the other picture that Steve had up on the screen, there's no way that they're going to get that easement to the west. Because it looked to me like there's probably 5, 6, 7 feet looking at that picture in the front of those trailers to the street. So how are they going to, even if we approve that, and I'm all in favor of tabling it, but look, go to the street in the middle of the trailers, Steve.
Commissioner, I'm going to go back to the first presentation, the business item, and have more pictures. So bear with me 1 second.
Okay, but I was just wondering, it says a 31-foot setback to the west, and that picture, I don't see how they're going to have 31 feet.
And Commissioner, stop me when I come across the picture.
Okay, I will. Keep going. Go down right there. Okay, is it got to have a 31-foot? How are they going to move those 31 feet from that street? They see it and still have to, and that concerns me in looking at the setbacks that we're trying to establish here. I don't see how it can be done to start off with, but I think you're all correct. We need to table this till we take a look at that. And here again, we're basing this stuff on GIS, which I don't see how it can be done, in my opinion.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioner, and hopefully Mr. Edgerton could probably educate us all a little bit on that setback, but from my understanding, I think he was proposing that west setback from this property line to these structures here, but I think I'll allow him to elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yeah, this is Eric. So yes, the commissioner was probably thinking that it was from the sidewalk to the trailer. I don't have a picture up that you guys were looking at, but the actual 31 feet is from the property line, which is actually the fence that runs down the west side of the property where the county is. And then same way on the south end, there's a property line basically just past the curb and gutter on the south of the pavement. And we measured, I mean, that was shot from the property line to the edge of the sidewalk. So that's where that comes in. So if that makes sense to the commissioner that was talking about that setback.
But again, I think that we're got the cart before the horse.
So just clarifying that question, not that I agree that we should probably do it all at one time. That's great. I agree with your decision if that's the way you want to go. Just clarifying that setback though, there's plenty of room at 31 feet from the property line to the.
Right. I think I understand what you're saying. I mean, I understand how you're trying to explain it. And my only additional comment to that would be, I suggest and recommend that maybe we get another vantage point to visit this, so we can maybe visually see that setback. Kind of help all of us visually see that and understand what the vantage point that he's talking about versus the street where Commissioner Padilla is looking at the sidewalk setback as opposed to the end-to-end setback. And if we could get maybe, I hate to ask to add that, but when we get back to this, we add one more visual aid for us to be able to see that, if that would be possible. But other than that, I'm going to go ahead and close this testimony and open the discussion so we can formally kind of just on the record for where we are as far as our sounds like our unanimous desire to table this until we get the other issues cleared up that we had on the business side of this tonight. Does anybody want to make further comment or ask any other questions?
Mr. Gobble, just for the record, I would just like to state that the record will be remain open until we come back and look at it again, and then Mr. Edgerton will have his rights, his due process rights in this quasi-judicial hearing to present evidence and testimony as he wishes.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Can I recommend that maybe that we advertise and we go out there and look at the site itself and have a visual rather than a picture? You meet with Mr. Edgerton on the property line. I think we would have a better focus or a better idea of what we're taking a look at here. And I think that could be done by advertising it and setting a date and a time and everybody go out there and look at it. Because we're trying to make a decision off of a picture that this whole issue is off of pictures, and I think we need to have that meeting out there. And can that be done, Mr. Goebel?
No, I would agree with that. I just think it needs to be done according to the Open Meetings Act. And that way, any decision or any meeting that we have is not tainted by any perceived biases or anything that we have done wrong. But I think we could probably have a special meeting if we advertise it pursuant to the Open Meeting Act and go out there and look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, for us, once before, we just were not allowed to speak to one another. We had to go separately kind of thing to look at. Not separately like one day after another, but separately at the site, so we weren't kind of, converging as a group, chattering about any issues that we might have seen So I think that's, and I'm sure Mr. Sedager can give us, clear instructions if that's the route that we decide to take ultimately. So I do know, it is possible for sure. So, I hate to leave something like this, kind of hanging like this, but I think that's the best action, the best, way forward based on what we have this evening. So, I'm going to go ahead, unless anybody has anything to add, I'm going to close the discussion and entertain a motion for item C under land use. All right, discussion is closed. Would anybody like to entertain a motion for that, please?
Mr. Mayor?
See, nobody wants to read that long thing. Yes, sir, Commissioner Padilla.
Yes, I move that we table item C, zoning change 2020-03, amending a planned unit development for the Cottonwood Mobile Home Park located at 304 Robinson Avenue, and then we advertise a special meeting, ex parte meeting. Is that what it is? Can you do that all in that motion?
Mr. Gobble, can you chime in there? I don't know that we need to add that to the motion, do we?
I don't think so,
Okay.
Mr. Mueller and Commissioner Padilla. I just think we should move to table it, and then if the commission so desires, let's set a special meeting, advertise it pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, make sure that we're not having a rolling forum there, and go with it that way.
Okay, well, I'll rescind that last part of my motion.
Carl, are you good with the motion? Do you have it?
I'm sorry?
I was asking Carla if she has that motion, if she's got the language.
That's good.
Okay,
Yes.
so we have a motion, and we need a second, please.
Second?
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Lewis. All right, we have a motion and a second. Carla, please call the roll.
Mayor Snover,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fry,
Aye.
Commissioner Padilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Randall,
Aye.
Commissioner Lewis.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, thanks, everybody. That was witnesses, applicants, parties. Thank you for waiting to chat with us. We are now to item 11, Commissioner, City Manager, and Department. Mr. Mueller.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor Commission. First, I want to apologize. We've been having some technical issues here in the commission room. Apologize for that. We'll try and get those straightened out. But our new world that we live in with the virtual realities. Just a quick note on we are currently in stage 1 water restrictions, which is our normal place to be. City staff continue to monitor the river. We've obviously dropped over the past month or so. We do have a drought stakeholders meeting coming up this next Monday at 8 o'clock. But just be assured that we are monitoring the situation. We have considered moving to level 2, but we don't think at this point it's necessary to take that action. But we are on top of things. My last thing to note is the New Mexico Municipal League annual meeting is coming up September 1st through the 3rd. It is going to be virtual, and the deadline to sign up for that, if anybody's interested, is this Thursday, August 27th. So if you're interested in attending that meeting, you can get with Carla, and she will help you get registered for it. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gobble?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to once again congratulate Mayor Pro Tem Fry. I think the piano project is an awesome project. I enjoyed reading everything online and seeing it in the newspaper. Great job. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Sir? Commissioner Padilla?
I don't have anything, Mr. Mayor, other than what do we need to do to schedule that get-together or meeting for out there? Is there something we need to do that?
If I could jump in there real quick, Mr. Mayor, and Commissioner Padilla, we'll get that scheduled and arranged. and make contact with each one of you as far as time frame.
Okay,
Right, okay, very good.
thank you, and I'd like to echo, the attorney on Mayor Pro Tem Fry's piano project. Driving down Main Street and seeing those pianos out there. I'm sorry I couldn't attend your open get together, but, it really is enhancing downtown, and I think you did an awesome job with doing that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Randall?
Thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to give a shout out. I'm not sure which officer it was, but sometime last week, I can't remember which day it was, but out here in front of my work, which is just in front of, Aztec Well and Roadrunner, some officer had between 8 and 10, maybe more later, people pulled over for speeding. And so it was a big blitz he had running, and it's just nice. And I know it means a lot to citizens too, just to see him out blitzing and catching all those people that, fly by. And we see them fly by all day long, and it's nice just to see a bunch of them caught. Other drivers notice it too, and hopefully that helps everyone slow down coming in and heading out of town. So just wanted to say thank you to Chief and his officers on keeping an eye on things, and I think they're doing a great job. And I don't know if word got out where I work and they're just trying to show off in front of me or what, but and other than that, no report. There's a slight fishing report. The bass are doing decent up at Navajo. Not a whole lot going on at Tiger Park. If anyone can get out on the lake, I know it's not in the city limits, but it's still fun to go. So, and for the most part, when you go out there, people are social distancing and wearing masks, and it makes you feel pretty safe when you're out there if you're nervous. Thank you.
Sure. Commissioner Lewis?
Just a quick report. I was privileged and pleasure to attend the dedication of the painted pianos on Main Avenue about a week and a half ago. And it was a delight. I have to admit, I wasn't sure about that project when Mayor Pro Tem Fry had brought it up. I thought, well, it sounded fun. It turned into quite the project. I'm really proud of what he and all the other people involved have accomplished. It's really an asset to the city, and I want to thank everyone involved.
Thank you.
Sure. Mayor Pro Tem?
Well, I attended the EDAB meeting, and we had a speaker talk about community gardens, and she provided some information which I intend to review because I'm a supporter of that. It'll take a lot of volunteers and a lot of work for such to happen, but other communities around us have community gardens, and I think it would be an important addition to our city as well. Had a meeting with the New Mexico seniors who continue to transition into this new form with the city of Farmington overseeing or being a important part of the management of the program, and things seem to be going smoothly there. The piano project has been quite satisfying, and we've had media attention from the Farmington Times, from KOBF TV, from the Durango Herald, and I recently wrote a letter to New Mexico Magazine. And if I'd gotten in a little sooner, we could have gotten an article in New Mexico Magazine, but they were already filled up for September and October, but they would like to keep in touch with us for a spring article about Aztec pianos. And I'm just feeling really good about this in terms of bringing attention to our city and a place that visitors would like to come. And for those of you who saw that one video of that piano player that was playing at the little flower shop, he was from LA. Now, we had somebody come down Main Street from LA and sit down and play a piano. That's cool. That's exactly what this is supposed to do. And so I hope all of you who know piano players will say, please go play the pianos. That's what they're there for. Let your kids, Austin, go pound on those pianos and have some fun. And we have 2 more in the works, so that next spring we'll have 6 pianos at least I've been offered 3 pianos, and honestly, I said, you know, I got to have a break here. and people have been so generous, but we'll see how that goes. I do want to thank, Ed has been putting together information on the city website, and we're including Tweety Blance's piano at Step Back In, and also the player piano donated by Annette Tidwell-Albin, that is at the Senior Center. Those are Aztec pianos. They're not painted pianos, but they're very special antique pianos that have some nice history with them. So they're going to be included. We're going to have a map for people to pick up at any of the areas where there's a piano, so that they can take a walking tour of downtown to the piano. So we're continuing to work on the whole project. And thank you for supporting it. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I don't really have much of a report. I just think it's things like that that get folks interested in checking out downtown, and it's going to take a lot of little things, like, you know, just like the painted pianos, and there's a new, I think in the paper, there's a new art gallery next to the Thai restaurant, and, you know, some of the, you know, it's not always easy, but, you know, because I know, and I don't want to minimize what folks are going through with COVID, some of the business hits that have been clearly taken in the area, folks out of work, kids, you know, trying to do regular school in their home environment, and it's hard enough to get us teachers included sometimes when we're in the classroom, let alone when we're doing it virtually, to get motivated to do these things. But nonetheless, if there is a little silver lining, I think this is part of it, and it's something that we can build upon, you know, with folks, sidewalk dining and things like that as we move forward with our MRA. I believe that it's this kind of energy and these kinds of things that are slowly moving Aztec in the right direction. And I'm proud to serve with the folks here on the commission, and to have the city staff that are working so hard, doing side projects to help the mayor pro tem and to do other things, shine some positive light on the area. So I think it's fantastic, and I appreciate everybody's hard work for sure. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be able to do this. But anyway, I have an ECHO board meeting tomorrow. It's pretty much the business as normal there, and we had an airport advisory board. And I am also happy to announce that in the fairly new future, it looks like we've finally worked out something that the pilots and Wallace have been trying to work out for a while, as far as some of the lease rates for the hangars, things like that, the ground lease rates. I want to thank Commissioner Padilla for helping kind of spark that a little bit with some of his knowledge of being on the commission before. And you know, between the two of us, I think we applied enough pressure to kind of kickstart that thing, and it happened pretty quickly. So I think that's good news, and we're heading in the right direction. So that's all I have, and I appreciate everybody's time tonight. Now I'll open it up to department heads if anybody wants to give me a quick. I don't see anybody unmuting, so I appreciate everybody's attendance tonight. Thank you. It's kind of a long meeting, and go ahead and adjourn. 8:02. We have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Hey, Carla, am I good to come in the morning?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, folks. Good night, everyone.
Carla, it's Tyson. Do you need me to come sign stuff?
I do need you, please.
I don't know when I can make it. I got court booked up, but I'll try to make it out there.
Okay.
Are you going to be in the office on Friday?
No, not me.
I'll take that as a no.
Come on.
We can work something out. If you don't hear from me, let me know, and maybe I can meet you in Aztec sometime.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. You guys have a great evening.
Good night.
That's a good answer. No.
No.
Oh, the nose all that. We'll set all the meeting stuff.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
Not so much, but
Well, I got an idiot.
can't get these in the
development. You needed to go that way.
Yeah, with all that, I mean, we weren't doing anything, or trying to get it too much, we were trying to help Eric out.